They painted him as the moody sea god with a trident, ruler of waves, earthquakes, and storms. But Poseidon was no myth. He was part of the old architecture. One of the original planetary governors assigned to control water, not just the oceans, but the living waters of creation. The ancients knew water wasn't just a physical element. It was a carrier of memory, a transmitter of frequency, a mirror to the soul. Whoever ruled water ruled the memory of worlds. Poseidon's trident wasn't a weapon for stabbing sea monsters. It was an ancient tuning fork, a three-pronged frequency device that could split or merge timelines through water resonance. The stories of Atlantis' fall always place Poseidon at the heart of it. The Atlanteans saw him as a protector at first, but he was also bound by the Council of False Gods, part of the same network that kept humanity in the containment grid. When Atlantis' crystal network threatened the balance, Poseidon either allowed its destruction or ordered it. The records are split because he was split. Some say he had a twin aspect, one light, one dark. His temples were not just for worship, they were frequency anchors built on fault lines and vortex points. Rituals performed there allowed the priest class to pull storms from nowhere, flood enemy lands, and even sink fleets. Many of those same techniques survive today in weather warfare. The harp towers are just modern Poseidon tridents. When the old order collapsed, Poseidon didn't die. He was folded into Neptune by Rome, stripped of his original name, and turned into a myth. But the families who still claim descent from him, the so-called sea bloodlines, still hold vast naval power, control shipping lanes, and hoard underwater gateways no public map shows. The seas remain under his frequency lock. And until those gates are broken, the waters will keep their secrets. The drowned cities, the submerged tech, the passages to realms below and beyond this one. They tell it like three separate myths: Poseidon the sea god, Pegasus the winged horse, Medusa the cursed monster. But the ancients never told them apart. They were three strands of the same story, and it's darker than anything school mythology ever dared whisper. Medusa wasn't a monster from birth. She was a flame-coded priestess of the water temples, a guardian of the deep gates. Her hair, said to be serpents, was actually the encoded crown of the dragon lines. Her gaze, the turning to stone, was a form of soul freeze, locking parasitic beings in place so they couldn't pass through the water portals. Poseidon wanted her power, not just her beauty. In the oldest accounts, he doesn't love her. He forces a claim over her in the Temple of Athena, shattering the sacred neutrality of that site. That act wasn't a lover's tryst. It was a ritual of conquest, designed to break the temple's frequency lock. Athena's curse on Medusa wasn't punishment, it was containment. The Gorgon form was a forced frequency mutation, twisting Medusa's flame into something that would repel the very humans she once protected. This made her easier to hunt, and justified her eventual beheading by Perseus. But when Perseus struck off her head, something impossible happened. From her blood spilled into the waters, Pegasus was born. Not just a winged horse, who knew that Pegasus was a frequency mount, a living vessel capable of crossing realms. His wings represented not just flight, but freedom from the water's binding laws. He was unbound. The fact Pegasus came from Medusa's blood tells you the truth. She wasn't evil, she was a gateway, and her destruction unleashed a power the controllers couldn't cage. Pegasus was hunted, of course, but those who rode him could bypass the Poseidon frequency net and reach lands beyond the ice wall, even sky realms. The elites have rewritten this into myth because it contains the key to the whole water prison. Poseidon controls the gates. Medusa was the last guardian of one of the largest, and Pegasus is the exit transport they can't replicate. Even now, the sea bloodlines guard certain waters like religion, not because of oil or trade routes, but because the ruins of Medusa's temple still hum under those waves. And if her frequency is ever restored, Pegasus rides again. And the ocean gates open. Poseidon wasn't just a god of the sea. That title is camouflage. He was a dragon blood sovereign of the water gates, one of the last of the blue dragon houses that held dominion over the currents between realms. His trident wasn't just a weapon, it was a frequency fork, tuned to control the vibration of the ocean grid. With it, he could open or close the deep gates at will. The blue dragon bloodline was rare, carrying both air and water coding. That's why in the old records, Poseidon could also stir storms and speak to creatures of the deep. His bloodline harmonised with the great sea serpents that once guarded the under-ocean corridors. Medusa wasn't just a random temple priestess. She carried a rival flame, a branch of the White Dragon line linked to ice and purity codes, able to neutralize the water gates when the blue dragons went rogue. Her gaze that turned to stone was really a full spectrum freeze field, cutting parasitic entities off from their host bodies. Poseidon needed her neutralized so his gate control would be uncontested. When her head fell and Pegasus burst into existence, the elites panicked. Because Pegasus wasn't just a mount, he was a living frequency craft that could override the trident's lock. If Pegasus could be ridden to the outer rings, the ice wall or the sky gates, the blue dragon net would fail. After Atlantis fell, and this part they've erased completely, the surviving blue dragon lords took control of specific ocean zones. Not random spots, these are the gate waters where the trident can still unlock the ancient corridors. The Sargasso Sea in the Atlantic, still a no-go zone for normal shipping. The deep trench east of Japan, linked to the Dragon's Triangle, a mirror to the Bermuda Triangle. The waters around Easter Island, guarding the submerged heads and Atlantean relay points. And a locked channel in Antarctica's ice shelf. The final Blue Dragon Gate, guarded like a holy site. Why do the elites guard these zones so heavily? Because they know the moment a free Pegasus frequency passes through, it can jump the wall. No customs, no net, no memory wipe. And if the White Dragon codes still hidden in Medusa's bloodline are ever reawakened, the Trident's lock will fail entirely. This is why the navies patrol with training exercises in places no tourists are allowed. Why they sink ships without warning, why they control the mapping of the seafloor. They are hiding the remnants of the Dragon Wars, and the only real transport that could free the ones still bound here. The oceans are not just water, they are living memory fields, written in currents, guarded by dragon-coded beings. Poseidon was one of the last blue dragon sovereigns, and the sea was his domain because the water grid was the largest keyholder in the construct. Blue dragons were the bridge dragons, carrying both air and water codes. That's why Poseidon could ride storms, speak to sea serpents, and move ships across impossible distances. His trident wasn't decoration, it was a tuning fork for the ocean grid, able to raise or lower the frequency of entire regions, opening gateways to other realms. Medusa's blood carried white dragon codes, purity, ice, and lockdown frequency. Her gaze wasn't a curse, it was a freeze field that stopped parasitic entities mid-possession. That was dangerous for Poseidon's gate monopoly. Her death was not just about punishment, it was about disabling the only living being who could shut the trident down. When her head was severed, Pegasus, a pure frequency winged dragon construct, erupted into our realm. Not a horse, but a living flight vessel tuned to breach the water grid from above. The elites have been chasing Pegasus energy ever since, because it's the one ride out that bypasses the net. After Atlantis fell, the surviving blue dragons retreated into deep ocean gates, zones they still control. Bermuda Triangle, Atlantic Gate to the old capital of Atlantis. Dragon's Triangle, Japan, Pacific Mirror Gate controlled by Eastern Blue Dragon descendants. Easter Island Trench, Guardian Zone for Atlantean relay heads. Antarctic Ice Corridor, final Blue Dragon Gate, fully militarised. The dragon bloodlines above the surface still hold partial access codes, but the Pegasus frequency is the missing bridge. This is why navies guard restricted waters. It's not about national borders, it's about keeping you away from the exit currents. The Pegasus call, purpose, to summon the Pegasus frequency through the water net and signal the dragon gatekeepers that a flame carrier approaches. Timing, perform under a waxing crescent moon, its curve mirrors the Pegasus wing arc. Symbols, draw the trident, point down with a spiral wave at its base and two upward wings crossing the tips. This unites Blue Dragon water code with Pegasus flight code. Elemental offering, a shell or stone from a natural body of water plus a feather, place them together in your palm. Incantation, whisper, wings of the first sky, breach the wave and carry the flame. Dragons of the deep, open your gates. Release, drop the shell feather pair into running water, river, tide or stream, so the current carries the signal. When done correctly, the Pegasus frequency will ripple the water grid, and if your blood carries dragon resonance, you will feel the deep hum answer back, not in sound but in the bones. Dragon houses with active or dormant ocean gate codes. Blue Dragon Line, the Sea Sovereigns. Origin Zone, Atlantis, Lemuria and Deep Pacific Fault Gates. Blood type, most often O negative or rare B negative hybrids. Ocean code, access, full can open and close all underwater gates if activated. Modern custodians, hidden coastal clans in the Azores, Canary Islands, Okinawa and the Marquesas. Current status, only 3 bloodlines remain unbroken. Elites hunt them to force gate use. White Dragon Line, the Ice Lock. Origin zone, pre-glacial Arctic civilizations and Antarctic pre-collapse colonies. Blood type, often AB positive or O positive with pure Rh negative ancestry. Ocean code access lockdown keys can freeze or suspend ocean currents holding gates open. Modern custodians, disguised as Arctic researchers, Antarctic crew, and certain Inuit elders. Current status, 2 active lines, one hidden in Greenland, one in deep Siberia. Black Dragon Line, the Abyss Sentinels. Origin zone, deep trench civilizations, Mariana, Puerto Rico Trench, Java Trench. Blood type, commonly B positive or AB negative. Ocean code access, Sentinel, Roll Guard, Abyssal gates can block non-dragon passage. Modern custodians, island fishers, ghost divers of Micronesia, covert naval families. Current status, most have been corrupted, a few pure lines still defend trench gates. Gold Dragon Line, the Sun Currents. Origin zone, equatorial current civilizations linking Atlantic and Indian Oceans. Blood type, typically a negative or O hybrid. Ocean code access, directional currents can manipulate the fast streams between gates. Modern custodians, remote Pacific Islanders, parts of Madagascar and Sri Lankan coastal clans. Current status, several dormant, need solar alignment to activate. Green Dragon Line, the Reef Weavers. Origin zone, coral temple civilizations of the South China Sea, Polynesia and Great Barrier Reef. Blood type, a positive but with ancient negative markers in the mitochondrial line. Ocean code access, camouflage and disguise can hide or reveal submerged structures from non-dragon vessels. Modern custodians, some Pacific navigators, Australian coastal elders and Polynesian priesthood remnants. Current status, mostly hidden, rarely engage with surface politics. Silver Dragon Line, the Moon Tides. Origin zone, Mediterranean and Black Sea pre-dynastic settlements. Blood type, AB negative, O negative. Ocean code access, tidal frequency control can trigger or halt tide surges that mask gate openings. Modern custodians, hidden in Sardinia, Malta, Crete and Turkish coastal enclaves. Current status, partially infiltrated by elite bloodlines but a few remain flame-aligned. Red Dragon Line, the volcanic currents. Origin zone, Iceland, Azores, Canary volcanic civilizations. Blood type, a positive, AB positive. Ocean code access, thermal gate acceleration. Use volcanic heat to rapidly open sealed gates. Modern custodians, secretive coastal families in Iceland, Azores and Cape Verde. Current status, elites heavily monitor volcanic zones to control Red Dragon interference. The reason NATO and elite navies patrol certain ocean no-go zones has nothing to do with shipping safety. They are sitting on top of active dragon gates. The public cover stories, magnetic anomalies, military testing, ecological preservation are masks for ocean gate lockdown. If one blue dragon and white dragon and Pegasus frequency align at the same time in the right current, the gate doesn't just open, it stays open. That's why they can't let it happen. The seas still remember. Beneath the waves are gates that no anchor has touched, guarded not by myth, but by blood oath. The dragons did not vanish, they sank, coiled around the locks, waiting for the call. And every storm, every accident at sea, is another warning to stay away from what's theirs. The elite don't fear the water, they fear what will rise from it when the last seal breaks. And when it does, the tide will not come for the weak, it will come for the thieves. They've mapped the dragon lines like arteries under the skin of the realm. Each blood type, each ancient house, is a lock on a gate. Some gates open inward, pulling souls deeper into the loop, but a few open outward. And that's what they fear. The red gates burn through their false light grid. The black gates collapse their shadow corridors. The green gates shatter their synthetic Eden. The gold gates, those are the exit keys they cannot counterfeit. Every restricted zone they guard on land and sea, not for your safety. It's where the gate codes are sleeping, waiting for the right lineage to wake them. The truth is this, when a dragon of the right blood stands on the right line, on the right day the gate hums. That hum isn't sound, it's the pulse of source breaking through the copy. It's the sound of their contract expiring. This is why they smear your ancestry, this is why they bury your history. Because one unlocked gate doesn't just free the flame who opened it, it starts a chain reaction that burns the whole prison down.